Hello and welcome to the part 3 of our tutorial session AgViz, and my name is Olabi Akonwa as usual, and I guess I did not say that last time. Okay, and so in this part what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating our windows and doors, which we've actually closed up with our walls, and we'll just be creating the walls. Then the whole openings parametrically will be created while we put in our doors and windows. So right here is now what we're going to show you how to do it. Well, from where do we get our doors from? We get our doors not from the AEC extended, though they're AEC objects actually, but they're actually separate. I don't know why that is done that way by the creators of Max, but well, we have that. I guess it's because it has its own series of objects actually, and so we can get our doors, then we can actually have our windows as well. So first we're going to work with our windows because they're the ones on the outside walls. If we're just working with exteriors, it's going to just be something easy and quick to work with. So we've actually gotten out our walls, and one other thing I would like to show you about walls is you can actually set individual wall heights and wall widths for even as it is joined together, as the walls are just in one whole piece. So let's take a look at that, because I should have shown you that in the last part. So we're just going to take a quick peek into that. And alright, we would come to our walls. You know, it has its sub-object. Then we now come to the segment, and it's in the segment we would see where we can actually get out and adjust our parameters, the default parameters we put in as our walls, the 225 walls, and the height. So, and of course the bottom, and you see what that works with. So what we're going to do is now pick one of the walls. Let's assume this is going to be a dwarf wall in the building. Anyway, there could be times you want a particular wall to be dwarf, and let's take a look at that. We're going to select that particular wall, then select the segment, then in the sub-object level right now you don't see what it's been selected. Then we can actually select sub-objects, but you don't see what's happening, so we have to take it to the wireframe mode, which you can do from here and turn it to the wireframe mode. But there is a shortcut, keyboard shortcut, which is the F3. You can actually use that to toggle on and off from wireframe to shaded and from shaded to wireframe. So let's have it on our wireframe mode. Then we come to our sub-object level and you select, and you can see that it's highlighted that we turn it into red, and you can actually select each wall as it is. And you could as well just break some other walls too. You can break a particular wall and not have it to be one whole single wall that goes down all the way, just like this one. Let's take this one first, and once we select that, we can turn it back to our shaded mode, and you can now adjust your height here. You can see what that happens, and now we have our wall adjusted accordingly with height. So, and right here, because this is not closed up, you can as well just come to the vertex mode, turn on your shaded, and pick that particular one, and you can join it up. Let's one of the axes, join it up together, and you have the wall closed. Good, and just as we want it. So one of the things is we're going to select this and then come back and turn it back to our 3000, because right now we don't want any wall to be dwarf. Okay, and one other thing that I'd like to show you is, yes, we can actually break a particular wall. Like now, this, we don't want this to go all the way up, we want this to stop here, and this goes down below that. So what we do is we're going to break this wall in the middle here, and doing that, we want to break it at this point, at these 2 points, because we don't want this wall to be here. We don't want this wall to extend to this point. Now to do that, to break this place, what we're going to do is pick our break, and we want to break it precisely at this 2 points. So we obviously have to turn on our snap, pick our break, then break. Oh, there's a problem there. Break, yeah, then break. So you can see that it's been broken, and but we still have that there. So what we're going to do is select that particular segment and toss it. We'll delete it. It's gone, but it still shows that if it's not, it's still there. What you use to verify that is would come here and pick a point. Then what I just do, and I just move this and right click to cancel that instantly, and you can see that that space is gone and we have that opening there. So that's just good for what we want. Now let's start putting our openings. We'll start with the window, and to create that, normally we could come here and pick the type of window we want. We have various type of the casement window, the awning, the fixed, the projected window, the sliding, then the pivot window. Most times we would want to use the sliding because that's what we now use mostly for the kind of windows, but most times I really love to use the fixed one because obviously not animating or showing how this, but you still get the window to look as good as you want it. So let's pick our fixed window. You could as well just pick any of the windows and do that. It does the same thing, but it just makes you have the different parameters, different features of the different windows. So many a times I've noticed something, that if I try to create my wall while in the perspective viewport, it gives me a problem doing the whole parametric thing of cutting that window through the wall just as it's supposed to do it. We have a few parameters here, just let them as default. First, get the wall to come out, then we'll turn on our snap because we want to snap to those particular points, and this is supposed to be a window here, and so when we have a snap there, we click and hold, then drag out, then you now drop in the next point, then release, then you now move up to the outer point, then click, let go, then you now drag up, then you now click. Basically fine, beautiful, this works good, and it has actually done a good work of cutting that window through that wall. If you look at it, you can actually see it's actually done that cutting. But at times you could have a problem not getting it to cut through that wall. If you have that problem, I think you just do your window creation from the viewport, from the top viewport. I'll show you that, but right now we have this. Let's just go with this, and I'll show you that in a couple of seconds. And we now have this. Let's turn off our snap setting because we don't want to move the wall and see how it actually shapes and places that hole and automatically cuts that hole just into the AEC wall, which is why I call it parametric. And you create your windows and automatically it cuts your opening through that place. You can see it's there, but once you get it to move up, it changes that position and it puts that opening in that position for that window. And if we move this, you can see that before you let go, once you let go, it doesn't sit there anymore, so we can undo and it places it back in there. And right now, this is what you now do is, now we have our wall, our window, and our window is going to be 900 from the ground. The window sill is going to be 900 from ground. So let's come to our move. You right click, and you don't use the move from here. You could as well just right click the move here, and you get this dialog, so you can actually dial your units, the units you want here, or if it's not there, you can right click and do move, but it doesn't bring out the dialog. But once you right click and click this small window by the side, and it brings out this thing. So you can as well just get it out from here by right clicking this button, not left clicking, right clicking this button, and you get it here. So now we want to move our window, and right now our window is like 1.3 meters away from the ground. The window sill is like 1.3 meters away from the ground, and we want it to be just 900. So we input our 900 here and we enter, and now we have our window at our right position. It's 900 from ground. And now you can have the parameters here. I would suggest, I won't go through this right now, I would suggest you just play with it and you see what happens depending on how you want your windows to look. But by default, the 3D Max 2011, I guess that's from 10 to, you get a very good setting that works well with your window setup. And just one thing I would just adjust there would be the panels, the horizontal panels. You can see, let's turn on the wire mode. I use my F4 key on my keyboard, and you can see you can actually set the number of panels for the width. Right click to go back to 1, then the vertical panels as well. Right click to go back. Then I think I just want just 2 panels, 2 horizontal panels, so, and it looks good for what we want. You can as well, the same thing goes for sliding window as well. You see the parameters, play with it, and you can see how it works. Yes, and that's how you can create that. Okay, but then one other thing I would like to show is there are times you'd want to create your window and you don't get it to, let's turn on our snap again, and you don't get it to cut that thing through. If that happens, I think I'd suggest you do it from the viewport, from the top viewport. Let's go to the top viewport, and you can actually still create from the top viewport as well, which it works fine. And let's just see how it works. You click, just the same process, then you come here, then you do that, and all that, then you have that. Yeah, and this is one other error that comes that shows up when you're creating. Don't get too scared, it's just something that Max hasn't really calculated yet, but once you just do a couple of things, it would actually calculate that. So you can actually do that. Then you can adjust the height of your you leave the depth as is because it's what fits the window, and these parameters are the parameters you need to change. Then you can say the width. If you want to change the width from what it is there, it automatically does that, cuts the opening. Then the height, of course, which is the very common thing you want to adjust. Say we want our walls, windows to be 1200 high, and for toilet windows, some toilet windows basically you still have them at 600, and most contemporary designs now don't really go along that. And of course you can just make your window whatever size you want it to be. Okay, now we have this funny look right here, and if you turn on our shaded mode, you can see that it's giving a little bit of mesh chaos here. And let's turn off our snap, and the thing that fixes is basically just move that thing a little bit and it fixes it, and whichever one still has that, just move it a little bit and it fixes that. So, and you can as well just put this one for 900, because this is the absolute. It only works along. It works with the world 0 point. So now if you want to move this a little bit higher, say let's move it 300. You don't input the 300 here. You input in the offset world. Basically, it offsets from that particular point. It's a relative transition it makes now, not an absolute transition. So we now say 300 up. Just go 300 up, then it resets back to 0. And you can as well say 200 up again, and you can say, oh no, I want to have it back at 900. If you don't want to input 900 here, you could just subtract 500 from it here, which is minus 500, and it goes back to the 900 we have. And that's how to create your windows. And you can as well just go ahead, and the same process done is what we use to create the other ones right on the other sides, the rest of the windows. And now we're going to see how to create the doors with the same way it does, and the same way it cuts the holes in parametrically, and that's what we're going to do now. Okay, the doors. So we come in and we go and look for our doors from our drop down list here. We pick our doors. Let's just pick a pivot door. You have your sliding, and we have the bifold, which is the double fold doors. And now we just want a pivot door, and let's cut in through one of these openings, which we want right here. Okay, and you can see automatically it does the cut, it does the opening, and it cuts it through. It's so closed in. a place here, so I think yeah, fine. Okay, let's create it here so we can see it clearly from that is right somewhere in the corner and we barely see it clearly. So let's use okay, we're good with that. We can see it from here, so we just make this tutorial as short as possible. Okay, now we have that, then I can just set the height, and you see it cuts it in well, and you can see how good and how wonderful working with AECs can come, and you don't have to do a lot of Boolean operation, doing this, trying this to be quite accurate, and you're not getting it right. And you can see it actually creates the door just the way you might want it, and you have this very lovely parameter here. You can actually create your grooves for your doors, various type of designs and all that. Very lovely designs, you can actually get them out, and that's it. Just play with this, and I'll show you a couple of other ones maybe after this tutorial, and you can see how many things you can actually create with this. Okay, let's just do a little bit of rundown here, and let's see what we can come up with. Find ones, and you can as well have double doors just in case the doors are double wide spaces, and you can even have parameters here. You have open and beautiful things, and you can flip the swing, and you can flip the hinge to where it opens, like flip the hinge. You can see that when we flip the hinge, it changes the side, so you don't say, ah, no, my door is like now we have this dot. By design, this door is supposed to swing that other way, and by default we've gotten it to swing this way, so we want it to swing that other way. So let's say flip hinge, and no, it's still not getting there. Then we now say flip hinge, and it's now open to the way it's supposed. It's now swinging to where it's supposed to be, which is this. And all these basically are not important unless if you're doing some animation and all that. You can actually animate this dial and box wall, you can animate and do that, and we'll work on a couple of things on this kind of thing and in future. Then let's leave it to be closed, and let's change our hinge. And so we want to look at a couple of parameters, very interesting parameters for this particular door, which is you can change the horizontal panel, you can change the vertical panel, and you can actually bevel these panels equally and make it look that very interesting window you have, interesting door you have. You can say you don't want it to be without a panel, just those small panel doors without panels and all that, and you want it to be glass, and all these are glass, and just the mullions for the glass. Then we have beveled, and you can see what happens when you have your beveled doors. You can see what you can come up with, the very interesting type of doors, which is very good. You can just play with these parameters. By default, I think I'm good with these parameters, and it's good to let it be this way, but depending on you, you could as well just say, oh, now I want to play with these parameters. I want my door to be like this, and I want it to have so much interesting things, and voila, you have your door, and you have it cut into your opening, and it places it there. You don't have to worry yourself about getting how to say, oh, I want to cut the wall in with some boxes using Boolean operations and all that. Now, and I'm going to skip this, and in the next lesson we're going to show you some other things, how to in the last lesson I'm going to show you how to by then I would have actually done the walls, and I would have actually created the walls, the rest of the doors and the windows, and put all this together the same way you used to create this, the same way we would used to create the top one. I would have done that, then I would now bring them together in the next lesson, place this on top of this. Then of course we have a column to stand here, and how we create all those using just boxes, and well, I guess this was very useful. Then you stay tuned for the next tutorial, putting them all together and adding more components, building components basically. And Thank you very much for watching.